we talk about fats, they're not all created equal. So I interviewed a gentleman named Brian Peskin, who's an MIT researcher. He wrote a book called The PEO Solution. He's been on my podcast a couple of times. The first time, he was here in Miami, where I live, and we were doing a live recording, also having lunch. And I asked him, hey, Brian, according to your research, what do you think is worse, smoking cigarettes each day or eating these bad rancid fats? And he said, well, according to the research, if you smoked 2 packs of cigarettes every single day for up to 28 years, your chances of developing lung cancer within those 28 years is about 16%, 1/6. But then he said, if you ate these bad fats, and I'll give an entire list soon, if you ate these bad fats every single day for up to 28 years, your chances of developing any cancer and or heart disease was about 86%.
Yeah.
Oh, yikes, Jimmy. I know you speak about this often.
Because of the inflammation factor, right?
Because of the inflammation, it inflames the cell. The body cannot use it. It gunks up the cell membrane, and then it blocks your hormones, your fat-burning hormones, your feel-good hormones. So it's kind of like me unplugging or hitting the mute button. I'm trying to communicate to you, but you can't hear me. We're going to be frustrated. So when you have inflammation, it's the same thing with your hormones. I asked Dr. Kay Shanahan that same question.
Yep.
Who wrote, you know who she is.
She hates vegetable oils, yes.
Yeah, exactly. She's a leading authority in speaking about these vegetable oils. And I say, hey, I asked her if her research lines up with Brian Peskin's. And she said, well, actually, Ben, it's closer to about 100% of somebody developing disease when you eat these bad fats.
And yet, look at all the foods that have these oils in them. And I know you're about to give us a list, but almost every packaged food has some form, and even the so-called keto foods like nuts and things like that, they're roasted in these very oils that we know are bad for us.
Yeah, they're all over. They're ubiquitous.
You might as well roast them in shit.
Yeah.
Actually, that would be healthier than some of these oils.
It will, because the shit doesn't stay around as long as these oils do. It's been predicted that these oils gunk up the cells for about 6 to 12 months, meaning if you remove them today, 4 months from now, you're still dealing with the effects of those oils. So it's going to take some consistency here. I don't want to say that to discourage you, but I'm saying that because it takes years, not months, to achieve optimal health.
It does worse than that. It becomes a part of your fat on your body. And so people forget about what you eat. You are what you eat. It really is true that if your body starts storing body fat, these omega-6 fats from these vegetable oils, which we're going to give you a list here in a second, they actually become a part of that adipose tissue, so that when you start to lose weight, maybe you feel bad. People are like, oh no, keto made me feel bad. No, you're finally getting rid of all those old oils that have been stored up in your body for years.
So true. So important to understand that. So let's go through the list of oils that we want to avoid. And I recommend, for those of you listening, well, thank you for joining us today. Me, Jimmy, and I are so grateful that you chose time out of your day to spend with us, because that's something you don't get back, and we want to make sure this is great information for you. So please grab a pen and paper or open up your notes tab on your phone and do an audit, today, in your kitchen. What are you giving your children? Are these in your keto-friendly foods? And here's the list of the bad fats on keto: canola oil, corn oil, soybean oil, cottonseed oil, rice bran oil, grapeseed oil, safflower oil, and sunflower oil. Now, the last two, sunflower and safflower, those could be healthy if they're organic cold pressed, but they're typically not.
Yeah.
So those are the bad fats we want to avoid. Those are very unstable fats. They inflame your cells. Instead, we want these stable fats that are healthy and healing to your body, healing to your cells, which are going to be avocado oil is great. Olive oil is great. Coconut oil, grass-fed butter, grass-fed ghee, duck fat. These are much stable fats that are better for the
lard.
Lard as well, yeah.
Tallow. Yeah, we could go down the list of all the... I think we all know the good fats because we're all using them in our diet. MCT oil would be another one that would be thrown in there.
Correct.
So as far as bad oils, it's a little bit borderline with things like peanut oil.
Yeah, peanut oil is not the worst, but it's not the best. So
right.
you want to limit the peanut oil and make sure you don't get it heated as high as possible.
Yes.
But another thing to speak about, Jimmy, I actually just recorded a podcast this morning, right before I hopped off here. 3 reasons why keto stopped working. And one of the tips was that it was this clean keto versus dirty keto concept. But I talked about smoke point. When we look at, when you go on Google, Dr. Google, or look at articles they're always talking about smoke point,
Yes.
which is not the full picture, because actually canola oil could have a high smoke point. But what's more important is that what these polar compounds, they're called, so the byproducts that are produced after they're heated.
Yes.
And there was a great study, I don't know if you saw it, from Australia, where they took the top 10 most popular cooking oils, a lot of the ones I listed today, healthy and unhealthy oils, and they heated them at different temperatures for different lengths, and they wanted to see how many of these polar compounds it produced. The more polar compounds, the more carcinogenic, the more oxidative, the more inflammatory it is to the body. No surprise, the ones that produced the most amount of polar compounds were the bad ones that I listed. But the surprising thing about the study was the best oil on there that produced the least amount was actually extra virgin olive oil.
Yes.
Meaning you could actually use real olive oil to cook with, even though it has a lower smoke point. It's so protective because of the antioxidant profile that it's a great cooking oil as well.
And all of these oils that you listed on that list, which, by the way, if you missed the list, go back and listen to the replay, because it's going to be invaluable. But like, they don't even talk about rancidity of these fats. And think about it, you guys. It's in the center aisles. It's one big long aisle full of Wesson, corn oil, and like every imaginable oil. Now, the good news is, because of keto's popularity in recent years, we are now starting to see coconut oil and some of these other oils, avocado oil, olive oil, come to play. But even within the subset of these healthier ones, Ben, we do know that some of these companies play the game with olive oil, where they kind of cut them a little bit with some of these seed oils. So you have to be careful, make sure country of origin is one, like Italy or California, so that you don't get caught in this trap of, well, Ben and Jimmy said olive oil was healthy, but it got cut with some seed oils.
Oh, so true. Here's how you know, by the way. You could do an olive oil taste test.
It
right
burns.
Now. You could grab your olive oil, take a shot of it. If it goes down smooth, that's actually a big red flag. You want your olive oil to make your throat burn, make your tongue fuzzy, maybe even make you cough. That's a good sign.
Do you know, I found that out when I went to Italy a couple of years ago. I got the great opportunity with Maria Emmerich to go to Italy, and they took us to one of the Italian olive oil places, and they said the same thing. Do a little shot glass and just hold it, and then swallow, and then if it burns, did it burn? It felt like a fire on my throat, dude.
That's the good stuff. Yeah, that's what you want.
Yes.
It's rich in polyphenols. It's probably first harvest pressed. And another important point is that when you go to restaurants, going back to the bad oils, most restaurants, I would estimate that 98% of restaurants use the bad oils.
Yes.
Because they're very cheap. So what I do, I know you do something similar, and this drives my girlfriend nuts, although now she's kind of aligned with me on this process.
Yes.
But I always ask the waiter or waitress, hey, what oil do you cook with? And they're going to say canola or soybean.
Yes.
Or some sort of toxic oil. And then I'll say, hey, I'm allergic to those oils. And you got to say that word, allergic, because then they'll pay attention. Now, you don't want to just say, I don't like those oils, but I'm allergic. Can you use olive oil? Can you use butter? Can you use something else? And most of the time they have that, but you got to make sure you ask them, if it is olive oil, do you cut that with anything? Because sometimes they cut it, like to your point, Jimmy.
Oh, I do the same thing when I'm on cruise ships. I see them making breakfast and cooking eggs, and they'll spray the spray stuff in there, which is just vegetable oils in aerosol form. And I'll always go grab about 3 or 4 pats of butter off the bar and say, okay, will you clean out the vegetable oil in there, use this to cook my eggs in? And yeah, you just have to be better, which is why we're both about home cooking as much as possible.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. But, when you're out, sometimes you don't have that luxury. So you just got to ask the question. It's uncomfortable at first, and your friends might think you're weird. But think about it. It's worth it, because one plate of food that is cooked in these vegetable oils will result in months of inflammation in your body. So just taking less hits, that's what it's really about. When you look at the best athletes in the world who have blessed, the stages of different sports, Wayne Gretzky, Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, etc., what do they do towards the second half of their career? They start to take less hits so they can extend their career. So that's what we want to do here in life. We want to take less hits so we can live a longer, healthy life.
And if you eat some of the standard American food out there, almost all of it has some derivative of these bad fats that we're talking about here today. And it's not the omega-6 totally. You need some omega-6. It's still an essential fatty acid, but you kind of need to counterbalance that with omega-3 fats, getting, fish oil and fish and other things to get those.
Yeah, well, I would recommend eating the fish and not actually taking the fish oil, because that
Yep.
actually could be one of the bad ones too.
Oh yeah, fish oil. Oh, thank you for bringing that up. And I'm glad we're doing a lot of these do's and don'ts of little nuances of keto, because you're right. If you get fishy burps after taking a fish oil supplement, either in liquid or pill form, that's a sign of rancidity too, and it's just as bad as those seed oils when it comes to the rancidness.
Yeah, it is, and Dr. Kay Shanahan talks about that. But even if you, so here's the estimation that 83% of fish oil supplements are rancid on the shelf before you even purchase it. But
Yes.
let's say you get the best brand in the world of fish oil, so it's that 17% pristine, it has astaxanthin, whatever is in there. Even if it's protected and it's not rancid when you consume it, well, guess what? When it hits your stomach acid, your body is very warm, 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Fish oil needs to be around 40 degrees. So it actually turns rancid in the body, and it's not being used really full. I'm not a fan of fish oil at all. I think we should not take it at all. But here's another problem. A lot actually overdosing on fish oil. The brain, when you look at EPA and DHA, the brain requires about 7.5 milligrams of EPA and DHA every single day.
Yep.
And let's double that just for like the rest of the body. So let's say 14 milligrams on average the body needs per day. Well, one fish oil capsule has 1 gram, and people are taking 1, 2, 3, 4 per day, and they're actually getting an omega-3 dominance, which is actually a problem, because what it does, it pushes out a part of your something that protects your mitochondrial membrane called the cardiolipin.
Yep.
And it actually creates a new problem. So I don't want to get too science here and confuse people, but the point is this: fish oil is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it actually does more harm than good.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up. I know a lot of people, they hear, oh, I need to take fish oil. My doctor's promoting it for heart health. I've got a neurologist that says I need to take krill oil in order to help with my brain health. So there's all these messages out there. So thank you for dropping some knowledge about that.
Absolutely.
We're going to reset the room now. You are in Keto for the Soul. Click on that little green house at the top right next to the name of the room. And subscribe. We have shows that go on all day long. Jimmy Moore likes to interview people because that's what I do. And I love doing that here on Keto for the Soul. I'm also simulcasting over on the Jimmy on Clubhouse Instagram page. If you miss any part of this, maybe you came in late to this room and you missed the first part, you can go watch the replay on IGTV over on Jimmy on Clubhouse. That's the username over on Instagram. We also put these up over on YouTube. Just type in a keyword Jimmy on Clubhouse, you'll find it there. We're trying to innovate, Ben. Nobody that I know of is doing what I'm doing right now with these Clubhouse interviews.
I'm inspired. I'm really impressed by it. I think it's brilliant.
So let's get back into this. And guys, go ahead and hit the hand at the bottom if you want to come up. But Ben and I could, like I said, wax eloquently for hours. But I hope you're enjoying the conversation so far. Raise your hand if you want to come up and join in on the conversation. So we went over a whole lot of the do's and don'ts regarding kind of fats. Why don't we shift over to proteins? Because I think this might be a controversial one. Because one of the things that comes up in the community is grass-fed and grass finished versus grain fed and finished. Is there any kind of do's and don'ts around that?
Well, first of all, I want to share that I was just in Sarasota this past weekend. I think you saw some of my videos.
Yep.
I was with Dr. John Lawrence. He saw the video I did with my lower back pain.
Yes.
In his clinic, he had a stack of Keto Clarity books that he sells to his patients.
Oh, that's cool.
And I went to Barnes & Noble's and I saw the Keto Clarity books, Complete Guide to Fasting. And I was like, Jimmy, crushing it. I love seeing that.
That's cool.
So I just wanted to share that. So protein is so important for so many reasons. And yeah, first of all, do the best you can with your budget. I understand everybody has different circumstances, but ideally you want to eat quality animal protein. Animal protein is far superior than plant protein. It's a complete protein. But what protein will do for you, it'll help you feel full and satisfied. It'll help activate satiety hormones like leptin, peptide YY, cholecystokinin. So it helps you feel full, prevents you from snacking, prevents you from breaking keto. Grass-fed, grass-finished beef is the way to go, and wild-caught seafood. You definitely want quality animal protein because you are what you eat. You're also what you ate, and you're what you eat stress. Meaning,
yes,
if you contribute with your money to animals that are tortured, there's going to be more animals that will be tortured. So you do vote with your fork.